Hey everyone, this is Tappers here again, and welcome back to Kirby, Nightmare, and Dreamland. When we last left off, we got through Yogurt Yard, and we are swimming our way to Orange Ocean, which has some pretty funky music, and it's a pretty cool world in some regard. Keyword, some regard. I've mentioned this before, but this is where the game starts to get a bit nasty and mean. And that's starting when you enter this door. Optional door. We have Fan. And if you'll notice, Fan is being really aggressive for some odd reason. Because it just rolled twice when it rolls probably once in a blue moon. And the projectile apples it throws are really fast. Also, there's water here, for some really strange reason. Now, it's not required that you fight Fan here. I mean, you can get the throw power up if you want, but I would not even recommend fighting him. And you might be wondering, well, just use a power up. Fighting him with without a power up looks like hell on earth. But here's where the problem is. You can't use power-ups, well, most power-ups in water, even if it's shallow water like this, because you'll have the swimming mask and all that other stuff. Plus, why would you want to use hammer against him with how spastic he is? Also, because and like I said, it would be easier to fight Fan with a power-up, but here's the thing. If you get hit, that power's gone. Not just the fact that it gets ejected from Kirby, but when when the star hits the water, it's pretty much going to explode before you ever have a chance to get it back. And 3, 2, 1, for some reason I didn't know when the flamer was going to actually dash at me, so that's yet another death on my table. Which I'm probably going to make a count, or a tally of how many times I've died. I don't really remember how many times it's been, but I assume it's less than the number of times of when I died during practice before I record this game. Which I will, I guess, say that I did better on these recordings than I did in my practice, to some degree. There are some really silly deaths, but that's besides the point. So, yeah, there's a way we can skip Fan, and that's by using Mix. And for some odd reason, I did not actually get hit by that fireball, even though it clearly did, although I guess maybe it hit my hammer, but that doesn't really matter. But fortunately, Flamer is pretty good in this area because it can just go through everything except that Blade Knight right at the end. But yeah, that's 6-1, and we still have several other stages. Also, I should just go ahead and mention this right now. All the stages in this world, they all have secrets. And, well, Orange Ocean has Wheelie, which, yeah, you definitely are going to be able to use it in this area. I mean, fortunately, they're not going to give you the first opportunity of Wheelie by trying to have you go in. I can't even remember what I was saying, but right there I should have probably grabbed Stone, and then I realized, oh well, I'm just going to have to go without it. And more cases of the game just deciding to have enemies just pop down like that. And then there's a bomb, or a bomber, that just explodes right as I get up. The game's kind of throwing some nasty stuff, and I can't say I like that, but I mean, it doesn't do that every step of the way, but it's been doing it frequently. Now, here is where I wanted the stone power-up. However, I can still get through this by using Mix, but the Sparkies have to cooperate. And by cooperate, I mean they need to, one of them at least needs to stay with the other, and then something. And I thought for a sec I was going to actually get that one, but I didn't. So a lot of time is being wasted, but eventually I think I do get it a third time being a charm. If one of them just stops and electrifies himself. Come on. Yeah, there we go. and if I just let it go, it just gives me the hammer outright. Otherwise, I would get a random power-up, and I would technically use that in any other case, but not here. I mean, I'm sure there's a way to, like, time what power you can get. I mean, well, that's kind of used in Superstar speedruns, but yeah. Speaking of Superstar, if I haven't even elaborated on this, but there's a good chance I might be just playing the original. It's just kind of depends on what and how I'm able to record, but we'll see. As far as what is the next game I would end up playing, actually I should just save this for another time because, well, there will be a time to talk about future plans of what I intend to do in the next world. Spoilers, there is one more world to go through, and hopefully I won't explode because of it, but that's actually not even true, it's just me being silly. Also, did I mention that you'll never have enough lives in this game? Because we're going to have like 31, and I think by the end of this game, I'm probably going to have like 50. And, well, there's a kind of a reason for that. But, yeah. This duel has another Fire Lion, and I might have mentioned this, but all the mid-bosses in these arenas are, I want to say, the revenge versions, the ones that are like 100 times more powerful or a lot more sporadic. But Fire Lion is nothing to write home about because it's not exactly an interesting boss. I mean, there's better fire bosses out there. Well, okay, maybe there's not that many mid-bosses, but it's like, whatever. Also, I think this is our first case of actually being on a boat. Not meme something. I don't know what to say. But the secret here is, I'm not going to say cryptic or anything, but you need to be a little more aware and think about this one. Because we got a bonkers mid-boss, and we need to take his power, as long as he stops squishing us with his hammer. His star-shaped hammer that is not King Dedede's, but it probably is because he becomes a minion of sorts. A gorilla minion with gorilla tactics. And for some reason, I wasn't sure what I was doing. But you blow up that block, and if you notice carefully, there is a thing there, and I accidentally went through. There's a hole in there, and this will lead to a secret after we get through one of the doors and do a thing. We want to go through this door. We don't need hammer anymore, but we need the laser ability. Although you could technically, actually no you can't. You have to get the laser because it's the only way to get the secret. And you have to be careful because when you swallow or you grab an enemy, you'll sink and you won't swim all that well. But fortunately, you don't drop like a stone. What you need to do is bank the shot like that, and you'll be able to hit the switch, which reveals Bomb Rally under the sea, because that makes sense. Also, let's put a palette swap Scarfy right underneath where we're gonna land. That's pretty cool. I mean, this is kind of what I was saying about how the level design's like, you don't know what you're gonna expect, and a lot of these enemies can get the drop on you. But fortunately, this is a stage that looks pretty, and actually, thinking about it now, this stage actually we do see in Superstar. It's a part of Meta Nightmare, except no, it's not called that. It's Midnight's Revenge, and we actually do get to see it. Mostly because this is actually takes part of a plot, which I say very loosely because I still have trouble figuring out what's going on in that plot, and it's mostly because, well, things can blow up or happen. And for getting second place, Kirby just has a blank stare. So, there's that. But Also, the first case, we actually get Ice Cream Island's music again, which has been a while, but it actually is sort of fitting to have it in this stage because they're both this level and Ice Cream Island have some pretty good tunes that kind of fit with one another. And I also noticed the Broom Hatter has a very interesting palette swap right here with a purple and kind of black. Sorry for the yawning, it's just haven't been 100% coming into this second session of recording this, and among other things, but just kind of have to deal with it. And I mean, I can still sort of talk, but eventually we all get fatigued in some way. But yeah, look very closely, you'll see a black square and the switch is right there underwater for whatever reason. And one thing I never pointed out is that whenever you hit a switch, your life refills, which I think is pretty cool because I kind of need it with how badly some areas have gotten in the past. So there is that. Sadly couldn't get the crash power, and we'll just drink our worries away because we can do that. And also, very short screen, so that must mean... No, actually I was wrong. It's just a normal screen with falling coconuts that we need to be really careful of. Also, that coconut wasn't even on screen, so it's another jerk move of some sort. But it's whatever it is. Now, if I remember... Oh, okay, actually it's not in this stage, but we're more than halfway, and I think we still have to fight Meta Knight one more time along with his minions. Along with getting, I think, the last two secrets of this game. Also, one thing I should note, this is the first time we see level 2 minigames. Now, I would say I knew how they work, but I think you have to be successful at the minigame in question in order to eventually unlock it. Maybe this is the reason why I haven't unlocked Bomb Rally level 2 or Quick Draw level 2, because I can't complete those worth a damn. So instead I have to settle with Air Grind, which I lost out on because I choked at the end again. I could have sworn I at least beat this one, but what can you do? Second loser, all that whatever stuff, I don't really care. But also, we get a change in scenery. Instead of the ocean, or well, it is the ocean, we kind of have like the Arctic in a way. This theme here is actually for the last world that we're going to eventually go to. But I'll leave that be a surprise. And yet another case of, well, enemy placement and, what was it I was going to say? Needle power that I don't get to use. But fortunately, they're kind enough to put a max mushroom, or max tomato right here, as we get through a narrow corridor with more fishies, enemies, and enemies that will die underwater because they can't swim. So, there's that. Also, kind of a jerk placement, but you can get out of it if you spray water just right. And I've mentioned again, and I'll say this is a pretty nasty screen because you have a lot of enemies that just spaz out like no one's business, like the Wild Dews, the Brown Birds, and even the Wild D's. We need to light this cannon, but we also have to be aware not to lose a lot of health because a lot of them are running towards where we need to go. And, oh, I know what I was doing. I was grabbing the fire power up, hopefully not losing it to the Brown Birds that just home in, which is really freaking annoying. And with any luck, we will hopefully get the secret before we get killed. And it was here that I thought I was not going to be able to get the secret, but I just barely made it, and I was at least happy about that because, well, we hit the switch, reveal Quick Draw, and refill all our health, which is always nice. I'm at least glad the game did that. And yeah, that was actually the end of the stage right there. But yeah, I think we have one more secret, and this one is a bit tricky because it requires, well, having a power-up, and unless I felt like going back, oh yeah, there was actually the quick draw first, which had a bunch of draws against Chef Kawasaki. Pretty cool to see a frying pan get blocked by a paper fan, but in the end, we have to give Chef Kawasaki his just desserts. Tunk. And we just got punished for that horrible pun and get only 3,000 points, which is kind of lame, but what can you do? But yeah, the last secret in this game, or at least I think it's the last secret, or no, actually, I take that back. There's 2 secrets in the last world. What am I talking about? In order to get this one, we need to get 2 unique enemies to get close together, and by doing so, we can get the hammer power again. It's kind of amazing how it works, where it just wants to give you the hammer, make things easier. So, in a way, I'm doing things sort of unintended, except sort of not really. And that's the last secret of Worlds, or Orange Ocean, which doesn't even look like an orange ocean anymore because, well, we're in a place that also has UFOs that just fly into us randomly. And we do manage to get the UFO power, which I think is the last case we will see it. Or actually, no, that's not even true. But for a sec, I thought I was actually going to die because I was just going to fall with the power up in hand. But actually, I ended up saving it, and I also dodged that UFO right there. Also avoided getting hit somehow as we go into a branching path, which I don't remember what the other path had, but I think I picked that one in my practice. So there is that. But what was I saying? I think there is something special waiting for us behind this door. And, oh yeah, we get invincibility candy, which is pretty useful, and the stage layout at least allows for getting through it, even with the ice physics that come with. I mean, fortunately, it's not like something that the game will do in the next world. But yeah, another useless screen because we actually get to fight his cronies one last time. Because, spoiler, we're going to be fighting Meta Knight very soon after we clean up house. But I will say that this is a pretty evil screen because you have enemies, you have the Trident Knights up top, you have the Axites that can boomerang cutter stuff, or their axes in a way, and you also have ice physics. I also need to get rid of that Javelin Knight because he could hit me, and this is where I start to have problems getting around because I need to get over these overhangs, and they kept them really close. But fortunately, I'm able to at least get some leeway, and that masher almost spawned right on top of me, which would have been all sorts of bad because I would have had to redo everything. I think this is also a part... Oh, okay, there was one more. And yeah, that's actually the end of the stage because we are preparationing. Wow. We are prepping for the final showdown against, well, Meta Knight. And it's a pretty special battle once we actually get to it. Because... Also, I don't really know why the secret actually opened up a warp star, because it's kind of pointless. Yeah, Meta Knight wants to fight us fair and square, also we can't interact with him, unless we get the sword power up. And it is a clash of duels. Kirby versus Dark. Yeah, I got stabbed in the ass by an upward shot. That was some pretty cool timing, but yeah. Round 2, fight. As we fight Meta Knight, and he just paces back and forth and does some moves. One interesting thing about this, Well, there's another version of this in Superstar, but also I managed to dodge it this time. And this is where he starts fighting defensively and blocking your attacks. Or at least he kind of started. Everything starts to tink, which I didn't realize he could do. And I tried to use the downward slide stab, or whatever you want to call it. And fortunately I do beat him with only a little bit of health. And hey, who is that mysterious creature? Well, it's Kirby, but it's not really Kirby. But yeah, that's Meta Knight. That was Orange Ocean. Next time we will go to Rainbow Resort. See you then.